Hello and welcome to the Student Ramble. My name is Leah and today I'm joined with Aimee to talk about psychology. Hello, Aimee.
Hello, Leah.
Hello, Aimee. This is weird, we're doing it in the same room. Normally it's me and the gals on Discord and I have to edit it afterwards, but this is going to be quite easy.
We're having a real conversation.
We are, we're in the same room. We live together though, so it's, easy.
Yeah. Makes
it a lot easier. Psychology 101. Ooh. Where do you want to start? I think we should start with so when did you choose to do psychology? Did you kind of just know?
Oh, since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to do psychology.
Is that what your personal statement said?
Yes. Since I was the ripe old age of 1 month old, I was like, psychology is my path.
Yeah,
I know it.
Straight away, developmental was just your core. No.
No, I had... two of my aunties are in mental health. One of them is a psychiatrist and the other works in mental health nursing. So I've had a lot of psychology in my background, I guess. And I wanted to do it from about 15, I think, which I wanted to do it for GCSE, but they didn't have it. So I did sociology instead. And then I did psychology A-level. And then I was like, this is really cool. So I chose to do a degree in it.
That's pretty much the same as me, but so I didn't actually know much about psychology until I was looking at colleges for A-levels, because so my secondary school did sociology, which I did, but when I was looking at options, when I was looking at different prospectuses for colleges, I saw psychology and I was like, that looks pretty interesting, and then did it A-level, loved it, and I was like, maybe I want to teach this in the future, so just carried it on really.
Yeah, well, when I did want to do it, I didn't actually know what it was.
Just saw it as like that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, the brain, cool, let's do that. I didn't actually know any of the details about any, theories or anything like that. I knew the name Freud, and that was about it.
Yeah, I think people who don't do psychology just automatically go with Freud.
Yeah.
Or Pavlov, and they're the only kind of ones that get mentioned. Or you see the pseudo-psychology on Instagram, it's like, have you seen these psychological tricks? And it's just okay, cool.
How to brainwash your friends, basically.
Yeah, how to brainwash your friends, how to manipulate people. It's no, that's not what we do.
Yeah, but I was just very interested in it. I don't know, I thought it was a cool thing to work out why people do stuff. And then I started the course and I was like, oh, this is just maths. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, because in A-level we did a lot of kind of concepts, we did a lot of theory stuff, or, for me I did a topic like relationships, and we would talk about how you form relationships, how you, end relationships and all that sort of stuff.
It was very, general, I think.
Yeah, it was very broad.
Yeah.
Whereas when I came to uni, it was just like, okay, you're going to do 60% of statistics. It's like, no!
Yeah.
That was the one thing I didn't realise. I didn't realise how much of a psychology degree was statistics.
I didn't realise how sciencey it was. Because I knew that it was a science, but at A-level it was a lot of writing. It wasn't a lot of thinking.
Yeah, it was
or
more of an
studying.
Essay.
It was just essays. We only did one study, that we did ourselves, and that was looking at toy shops and thinking about gender.
What, in A-level?
Yeah.
We didn't do that.
It wasn't assessed or anything. I think it was just prep for uni, really, because my school were like, you're going to university or else.
Oh god.
So
no.
I had a very, very brief interaction with research, but being here now it's a lot more focused on it.
And I think it was one of those surprises that wasn't really anticipating. You're like,
no.
Oh, okay. Because especially in first year, you automatically assume it's going to be... Well, for those of us who did A-level, we thought it was just going to be a bit of an extension of A-levels, which for first year it kind of was.
It was for most of it, yeah.
But with the addition of having to learn to navigate a statistics program, statistics software, and learning these new things that we hadn't had any experience with, because I think only a couple people we know actually did statistics beforehand. I think a lot of us did psychology at A-level.
Yeah, I think if you'd done maths, that was a great advantage, I think.
Yeah, I think it was definitely something which I kind of wish I did, but I was just annoyed because at school I didn't really like biology that much. Every time we did biology, I hated it. I preferred chemistry and physics way more. So when we like started doing biopsychology or started to look at neuroscience, I was so annoyed. I was like, I just want to learn about behaviour, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think that like it rubbed off on me as well, because you were like, oh fuck, it's neuroscience, and I was like, true, it is neuroscience, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
But I think this year I've warmed to it a bit more, because I actually sort of understand what's going on. I think most of first year I was a bit lost.
Yeah, I think with first year as well, because we had a very weird first year. We had a lot of strikes, and then obviously the pandemic started. So we weren't able to really... We were focusing on a lot of other stuff. Yeah. And obviously first year, most of the time you're just kind of going out and just doing the work generally. Whereas second year, we're like, okay, this year actually counts. We should probably try. But I mean, I definitely prefer the more, I suppose, theoretical modules. I prefer developmental. I really enjoy social psychology, especially this year. We've done a lot of really cool things this year. Because first year was a lot of groups and social influence, which is, you know, that's what we did at A-level.
Yeah, it was just covering the basics, which I understand, because not everyone that does the degree does A-level. So it was a bit of a breeze, most of it, because it was like, we already know this.
Yeah, they had to just get everyone like up to the same level.
Yeah.
Which I think made it interesting, because you were learning about it again. It was kind of just revision, I suppose, for a year.
Yeah. Did we get optional modules?
For first year?
Yeah.
I think there was you could choose to do, I can't even remember what one of them, it was like you could choose to do a neuroscience module, or which was basically programming for cognitive neuroscience.
Oh.
Or it was choosing a normal, I think it was biopsychology.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the only difference I could remember.
So we did all the same ones, didn't we?
Yeah, we did all the same ones for first year. It was second year where you did philosophy. Like you chose optional modules, where I stuck with the core psychology modules.
I had enough with academic writing. No, it was still academic writing.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, it's more.
Oh well, I just missed out on half of cognition and half of neuroscience.
Yeah, I mean,
to do philosophy.
Do you think that you do you think that you should do an optional module at uni, or do you think it's best to kind of...
Well, outside of the course?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Definitely, yeah. Because I think especially philosophy, because obviously psychology is very scientific and fact-based, and you know, you look at a research paper, you have a read, and then you write down what you find and stuff like that. It's very regimented, it feels like, when you're writing, but in philosophy you actually have to think and like think abstractly as well, which I hadn't done since, you know, in a few years. So it just introduced a new way of thinking, which was quite refreshing. It was very difficult because it was obviously in second year, so I was sort of going in at the deep end a bit, and they were using all of these big words, and I was like, I don't know what this is. Yeah. So I had to do a lot of Googling, but it was really interesting, and just, yeah, as I said, quite refreshing, a difference from science all the time.
So what were the actual philosophy modules that you took?
I just did one. It was called Meaning in the Mind. So I thought it would still relate to psychology quite a lot. Honestly, I can't even remember what we did.
I remember looking at a couple of the things when you were doing your assignments, you would tell me, and I was like, this sound, not being funny, it sounded really boring to me.
Yeah, at the start it was, because I thought that, because in philosophy they have this thing called logic, which I think it's called logic. It's just maths. It is pure maths. X equals X, all of that stuff. And our first bit of reading was this guy trying to explain existence using maths, and I was like, I am so lost. I can't even read this. Yeah. How am I going to do a whole module on it? But the further we got into it, the more interesting it got, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I stuck with the core modules was because at that point I didn't see any optional modules that I was really interested in.
Yeah.
Because I thought if there was going to be a sociology module, for example, I was tempted to take that, but I couldn't see any. A lot of it was, you know, business or finance or economics, and or like geography, and they weren't modules which interested me, so I just stuck with the same ones. But I think we get a lot more choice next year. So for example, for me in third year, I'm taking an education module where I do a placement in a school, because it just gives me a bit of an extra experience, which just helps me out for my application, really, for applying to be a teacher. So I think it's important to take optional modules to kind of broaden your horizons, but I don't think you should feel pressured to if there's nothing that you're interested in.
No, not at all. And also because they give you our uni, they give you a limited list of optional modules you can take. So like I was basically, I just wanted to do something different, so I was having a look, and I could have done Egyptian hieroglyphs as a optional module, and I was like,
that was a module?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, that looks really cool. And then I was reading about the assessment, and they were like, you have to do like a writing assessment and reading assessment, and I was like, okay, maybe not. And
where would that apply in practical day-to-day life?
I don't know, but I'm just like
writing love letters in hieroglyphics.
No, I'm just like fascinated by like Egyptian stuff, like ancient Egypt and everything. So I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then I was reading it, and it was basically just a language. So I was like, okay, maybe not. I thought it would be more like history based, but yeah. And then, as you said, there were, you know, economics, business. I think they do try and tailor it to your course as well, because obviously psychology, you can
it's very diverse.
Yeah, you can apply it to lots of different fields. But say one of our friends, she does philosophy, and her choices of optional modules were a lot more limited. So it was more like people based, if that makes sense. Like
humanities, I suppose.
Yeah, like very much humanities, because we can do like all of the languages, like loads of different stuff. But yeah, I saw the philosophy ones, and that's a word. I spoke to our friend about philosophy, and I was like, that sounds really cool. So and then we ended up doing the same module as well. So
yeah, I suppose it helped to have someone else in that module that you know who kind of knew more than you, so if you were stuck you had that resource.
Yeah, she sent me her essays from first year as well, so I could have a read of them and actually get to know the writing style, because obviously it was very different. It's more, I was going to say prose, but
no, I suppose it kind of would be in a way. That it's for example with psychology, it's a lot about, you know, finding research and using that to back up your evidence and your argument, and it's very much regurgitating other people's words.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, that would be your own thought and your own process.
Yeah, in philosophy you have to have an opinion on it, and you have to express your opinion. You still have to back it up with like old philosophers' works, but it's more based on your thoughts and you trying to work out what's going on.
Okay. So do you think you would carry it on in third year if you could?
I think I will look if there's another philosophy one.
Would you try and do the same, like, would you still try and do, like, meaning in the mind again, or would you try and, like, would you just see what's around?
Probably just see what's around.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing a language, but I think that might be a bit too adventurous.
I don't know, what language would you pick up? The old Francais?
Might have to.
Yeah.
See if they offer Danish. Oh my god, can you imagine?
Oh god. Yeah, I remember over the summer you were like trying to learn Russian, and then you did like Danish for a while, and then we just end up speaking just random patches of French around the house.
Yeah. I'm still learning Danish. Duolingo, check out.
Oh
Very
god,
helpful.
that owl from Duolingo haunts my dreams.
The only thing with Duolingo is it doesn't teach you the alphabet. That's why I stopped learning Russian, because they didn't teach you like the alphabet in it. Is it called the alphabet? I don't know. Like the characters and the sounds and stuff. They didn't teach you that, so it was a bit of, you know, I wasn't really sure what was going on, and it was taking me ages to just learn one word. So I was like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, we I remember in school when we did like I did French GCSE, we used my teacher made us do like Duolingo for our homework.
Yeah.
As well as, you know, all the writing and whatever that we were doing. But we also, I can't remember what we did. There was another website which basically had textbooks, and it was practical, like that's how you could learn the alphabet and all that sort of stuff. If I remember, I'll send you a link for it. But not sponsored. But yeah, I mean, kind of bringing it back to psychology.
Oh yeah.
What's your favourite psychological module that you've done, whether that be first year or second year?
Honestly, I think social this term. I think I'm not very good at concentrating or paying attention, so all of them seem to merge into one a little bit when I'm thinking about the different modules. But I think the one that's stood out a bit is social, because we've learned about like prejudice and stuff like that, which I'm very interested in. But yeah, I think in the future I want to go into sort of behaviourism, conditioning, that sort of thing, because it's easy. No, because it's, you know, it's literally how your behaviour is shaped, and that's what I wanted to learn about from the start. So I think social can very easily mix into that, because it's you learning how to behave in social situations pretty much. So I think social has stood out.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I really enjoyed it. To be honest, I enjoyed social last year. Social last year was definitely more to do with influence and the different kinds of social groups that you might slot yourself into, or, you know, the difference between a friendship or a interaction you'd have with 2 people, 3 people, multiple, and they're just the different kinds of, like you say, prejudice and influence and all that sort of stuff. But this year has been a lot more to do with we've done a lot more personality this term as well.
Yeah, which has been interesting.
That's been really cool. And I think, I mean, so we're actually working together for our dissertation next year, and we've basically decided that we're going to go down like a social behaviourism route.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting to do. Because I mean, you did your we did our placement with the same person, but we did it at different times. So I did more of kind of the background research, whereas you actually did the experiment. So I mean,
I was working with participants.
Yeah, so I mean, you did, like, so how did you find actually conducting research?
Oh, it was so fun. That I think before doing that, I was, you know, my sort of career path in my head was all over the place. Like one day I was like, I'm just gonna give up. I'll be a single mum. Or be a stay-at-home mum, and then the other day I really was interested in victimology, so working in with the victims of crimes, because pathology like PTSD really interests me. But since doing the placement and actually getting experience in research, it really made me like realise that I just enjoyed it so much. And I think just being a factor in finding out new things about the world it's so exciting. I think doing research methods, the module, it doesn't what's the word?
It doesn't really show it properly.
No.
It doesn't show it off like how fun it actually can be.
Yeah, so it
doesn't do it justice.
Research methods is writing and
it's boring
and maths, and the woman who did our placement literally said to me
that is my favourite.
She said that's the boring bit, and I was like, well, why, what?
But we suppose we have to learn the basics of research. You know, it's a shame that we've got to do like all the tedious boring bits as like a massive chunk of our degree.
Yeah,
but
doing that placement where it really just showed me how exciting it is, and has made me want to do it in the future.
So I mean, to be able to become a researcher, I'm assuming that an undergrad isn't enough.
Well,
or does it depend?
I don't know.
That's an avenue to explore later. But I mean, so for me, so to be able to become a teacher with my degree, so I'm going to finish my degree, you know, get an undergrad, Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and then I do a postgraduate in education, which qualifies me to teach. And because I'll have a degree, I'll be able to teach, like an undergraduate degree, I can teach sixth form, like A-level. I wouldn't be able to teach higher than that, because I think that's when you need like a master's or a PhD.
What's your thingy called? The teaching.
It's so you can do a postgraduate certificate in education or a PGCE, which you can do that in.
That is a type of masters.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were different things.
No, I was in a master's webinar thing. Our uni does webinars for careers, by the way, which are very helpful. Yeah, I was in one for masters, and he was talking about the different types of degrees you can do, and one of them was the PGCE.
Oh, cool. So I can technically brag to all my family members that I'm doing a master's.
Yeah, well, it's
Nice.
just postgraduate study, and it's like 2 years or something, isn't it?
Yeah, so the ones that I've looked at, it depends what route you go. There's multiple routes to become a teacher, but for me at least, there's you can do it all at a university where you have lectures and you'll do a placement within that, and that's typically 1 year. All of the main one is 1 year, but then afterwards you have to do like a whole year placement and you do an assessment at the end, which is called the National Qualification in Teaching, which is an NQT. And then, but you can also just be hosted by a school for a year and basically just work there with a kind of like a supervisor. And then that's just accredited by a uni. You never go into the uni. It's just that's who you get your degree from. And then there's multiple different routes for that, which will all depend on availability of places and all that. But yeah, I mean, I think we're quite similar in our interests, but we're different in the applications that we want to use our degrees for.
The outcome.
Yeah, the outcome. Yeah. I'm trying to sound fancy with application. So, I mean, did you have much of a expectation of what psychology was going to be before? Like, was there anything that you were like, I think it's going to be like this, and then it was like, oh, no, it's just maths?
No. I just went into it like, I don't really know what's going on. And I was like that for a year.
You were.
No.
I remember in a lot of our lectures, like, not being funny, if you've done psychology before, first year is just a revision course.
Yeah.
And for us, it was like a pass or fail at the end, so you had to get at least 40% in, like, across the year, which kind of just averaged out between all your modules to pass. And that's just to get, like, just so you could go into the next year.
Yeah.
So not many people care about first year. Like, you kind of just live your social life.
Yeah, it's just getting the basics. But I think I'm very grateful to my college because they were very, as I said, very pushy with preparing for post-college education, because obviously we have to... Oh no, that was until 18. Okay. Yeah, but like,
just like higher education.
Yeah, like apprenticeships and university, but mostly university, so we had a lot of things that we could do to prep for that, like study skills, and I did an EPQ, and I think you started one.
I started one, I did it for 2 weeks and then I got bored.
Yeah, but doing the EPQ I think was one of the best things I did. It was really hard, but it really prepared me for higher education writing, and I got a first on my first essay.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah, you've done very well in your assignments.
Yeah.
But I think that's because you're very much a perfectionist when it comes to your writing.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we'll get an essay set and I'm very much like, I'll do it and I'll do it well, but once I've finished it, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just submit it and I'll hope for the best.
Whereas I'm like, if this doesn't sound like an academic paper, I'm not submitting it.
Yeah.
I love using big words.
Yeah. Like, so we're in a group chat with our other friend and we'll send like our essays to each other and be like, can you read over this?
Yeah.
And every time I read like yours or our other friends, I'm just like, okay, I really need to re-edit my entire essay because it sounds like a 14-year-old wrote this.
Oh man, no, but I'm such a tryhard. I've got thesaurus.com open at all times.
Oh yeah, if you don't use the thesaurus function on Word or the synonyms most of the time on Word, then you're not doing an academic essay.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, I found it not easy, but I didn't find it that hard.
Did it make the transition easier?
Way easier. Doing psychology A level and doing the EPQ combined really helped. So I think the transition academic wise wasn't too hard. The only difference was the style of teaching, because obviously in college I was in a class of like 20 people usually with a teacher, and you know, you spoke to them throughout the lesson, but in uni it's like this person is talking at you and you
for
need
2 hours.
Yeah, and you have to keep up, otherwise you're fucked.
Yeah, that's why I kind of, as much as online uni has been annoying, it's been quite nice to be able to pause and rewind and have the captions on.
Yeah.
And actually be able to, you know, if you missed, you know, if we were in a lecture and someone said something and you missed it, there's no way you're getting that information. So you just accept your fate and you move on.
Yeah, because you can record the lectures as well.
You can record the audio.
Yeah,
but like you have to get. I think you still have to get permission from your lecturer. Most of them will say yes, but if you just like send them an email and just say, "Can I record the audio for the lectures?"
Yeah.
Like most of them, like they're absolutely fine with it because they'll understand. I think a lot of students who are part of the DSA, DAS, one of the two. It's like the disabled student. Basically, if they've got like educational needs, for example, they are allowed. They get given a little microphone to like record the lecture, so they can go back and forth all the time.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I think Millie and Phoebe, they're gonna talk about that at some point because they've experienced that, so they can kind of go into that in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
More than I know. But yeah, I mean, in terms of psychology as a whole, before we started, I mentioned we were going to talk about this to you, and you nearly went off on one. But it was like the fact that psychology isn't always recognised as a science, and the fact that we're not recognised as scientists. Yeah.
Bitch, I'm a scientist. Let me live my life.
Yeah. I think there's a massive stigma around psychology at uni being like just one of the easy subjects that you don't have to work hard for and you can just...
Yeah. Well, it's because it's seen as like a social science, which I do understand. And before I did the degree, I didn't really think it was a science either. So I do understand people thinking that, but I think especially neuroscience, which obviously has the word science in it, so there's your proof.
Yeah.
And also doing lab reports and research has made me realise a lot more that it's more a science, because we're not working with chemicals or forces, it doesn't mean it's not scientific. It is very scientific.
Yeah, we also I mean, our degree is literally a Bachelor of Science.
Yeah.
But we if we were under normal circumstances, we'd be seeing like the machines that we use and the brain scanners and fMRIs and the EEGs and all that sort of stuff, which I can't pronounce the name of, and I still can't.
Electroencephalogram.
That's the one. I still can't pronounce that. You'd think it's a good thing I'm not doing a presentation on those, because I would not do well. But yeah, we have the same backing and background as science, but I think it's just because with physics or chemistry, or even biology, you can physically see stuff. Whereas with a lot of psychology, it's
inference.
A lot of inference, a lot of interpretation into behaviour or whatever. And I think we get kind of a bad rap for that.
Yeah. Honestly, if you think psychology isn't a science, read a paper on neuroscience.
Yeah, try and understand.
Read a paper on neuroscience.
Try and read an academic paper, then come back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand half the things in an academic paper. I'd literally just go to the abstract. Does it say what I need it to? Cool. I'll just reference the discussion section.
Oh god, yeah. No, I was actually being a tryhard today doing my lab report. I read the whole paper. I was like, for my introduction.
I think the only time I've ever read an entire academic paper was for like seminar prep.
Yeah.
And that's because I was terrified of who was leading my seminar. Because it was like, I think at that time it was like a PhD student in first year, and I was like, I've got to do so well to impress them. It's like, they don't care. You'll never personally know any of your lecturers or anything. The person you're most likely to know is your tutor.
Ugh.
I mean, I've had a really good tutor. You have not, but
bloody hell, this bloody man.
So yeah, I mean, you kind of, but to be honest, you can email any lecturer or any postgrad student and they'll just come back to you. Like, I've emailed...
Everyone is very helpful and friendly.
Everyone's really laid back as well, compared to school.
Yeah, it's just that that relationship isn't formed automatically. You have to reach out.
Yeah.
So it is different to school in that way. Do you want to talk about how, like, the different things we do, like seminars and whatever?
So for psychology, we have, we can kind of just talk about this year generally. I mean, it's probably easier for me to discuss it a bit more because obviously I've done the core psychology modules. But so for me, I've had, excluding the careers module that we did, because we had some lectures for that, which they were so weird.
I think it's really good that we have a careers module though, because that's what we did our placement through. It's compulsory.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for that.
I think if they made it an optional placement, most of us wouldn't have done it. Which, you know, it's kind of handy to do a placement. When you're forced to do it, you're like, I don't want to, but then later down the line we'll be like, okay, I'm kind of glad I did that.
I actually have experience. This is good.
Yeah. So we have about 5 lectures a week, which are about an hour long. For second year psychology, we have 4 weeks of lectures per term. For some reason, we only have 4 weeks. Everyone else has 5. I'm not going to complain though. We get an extra week.
Yeah, we have a lot less contact hours than a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
I have a feeling that that's because of online uni. I feel like we would have had a lot more stuff in the timetable.
Maybe, yeah. But even in first year, we had a lot less lectures and everything, or especially seminars, than people that did, like, maths. We've got friends that do architecture as well. They have quite a few contact hours. Yeah, I think we've got a lot less contact hours than others. So we do about 5 hours of seminars a week. Then I'd say lectures. Lectures. And then I'd say we have maybe 3 hours of seminars per term, 4 hours of seminars per term. Yeah, so we only have seminars when we get an essay set, and then we have lab, which are basically seminars for our lab report. Yeah, so with the seminars, we have a one normally towards the beginning of term where it's setting an essay for. You'll have like 1 seminar per module. You'll usually have, like, for example, 2 in autumn, 2 in spring. So for me, I think in autumn I had my social psychology seminar and my was it my perception and neuroscience one? What, this year? In autumn. Yeah. I think it was those. I had all of mine last term. Yeah. I don't understand how that happened. Yeah. So we have those, and then we have with every lecture we have continuous assessment questions, or like CAQs, which are basically multiple choice questions. Which normally go alongside the lectures or are like the reading associated with it. More often than not, a lot of people just kind of use the PowerPoint to find the answers because it's open. Well, they can't say it's not open book, and it's just an easy way to kind of guarantee the 25% of your module. So it makes sure, but it also consolidates your knowledge. So, in the last developmental one, I was like, right, I'm actually going to do this with my brain. I'm not going to look it up. I'm actually going to think. Yeah. And I think I answered 3 of them with my brain, and then the last one was worded a bit weirdly, so I had to look it up. But yeah, my problem is I'll answer them with my brain, but then I'm paranoid that I've got it wrong, so then I end up looking for it anyway, just to double check. I did check them. Okay, that's fine. And then we have normally a spring and an autumn lab report or a micro project where you basically have about 6 sessions, which are normally like every week or every other week, where basically the initial one is just telling you the background to your lab, like, you know, the research question, what you're actually looking into, and then it'll be every week kind of guiding you through, you know, here's what you should be doing for your results section, or, you know, here's how the method's going to go, and you have like your own data collection week. I really enjoyed doing those like data collection. Yeah, this year we got a choice of the variables as well, so they would give us a baseline variable. So for me, in this one that I'm writing at the moment, it was verbal memory, and then we got to choose our other variable, so I did exercise frequency. Oh, see, I had that in my autumn lab report, but I didn't have it in this one. You didn't get to choose? No. Oh, okay. Which actually made it easier. Yeah, probably. It made it easier for me to just write my introduction when I got set my background. It just depends on the seminar leader, I guess. Yeah, it depends on what the tutor actually is like looking into specifically.
So yeah, but I mean, I've enjoyed doing the lab reports. I think it's been nice because it applies what we've been doing in the research methods lectures. So for example,
Yeah.
we did a lot of stuff to do with like multiple regression and ANOVA, like analysis of variance, which, you know, I didn't understand it when we were doing them, but now that I've been able to like apply it in a lab,
Yeah.
I understand what it's for now.
Yeah.
Like, it's practical application, but just with like a weighted percentage on your grade.
It reconciles your knowledge.
It does. Keep using big words, man.
I know. I've been writing today. I've gone galaxy brain mode.
Yeah, I mean, what sort of things are you looking forward to in third year?
I think the modules definitely, because there's a massive list that we can choose from, and obviously third year is when you start to specialise in what you want to do. I think first year was getting the basic knowledge. Second year is all of the boring compulsory stuff we have to get for our degree, because our degree is Bachelor of Science with honours, so we have to do extra stuff on top of the basic degree, like the placement.
Yeah.
I think is part of that. So then in third year, that's when we can sort of branch off into what field we want to go to in the future. So obviously, if you're doing teaching, it doesn't. I think if you're going into like a general career, or even if you know what career you actually, if you don't know what career you want to go into, that's you can just choose whatever. But because I want to do more behavioural, social sort of stuff, I probably won't choose stuff to do with clinical psychology, for example, or psychopathology, or business.
Yeah, like for me, I don't want to ever think about neuroscience in third year.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be unavoidable to some extent. Because for us, for third year, we don't have that many compulsory modules. So we've got our dissertation, which is a compulsory thing. And then...
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And then we do a contemporary and historical issues module, which is basically issues and debates from A level, which I think is going to be really interesting.
So that's like nature, nurture, that sort of thing.
Gender, you know, if, I don't know, like if it's, you know, inside you, like if it's like something which is innate and like can be changed, I don't know. All that sort of stuff.
What's it called? Like ideographic and nomothetic.
Yeah. If you're an individual or if it's like a group mindset.
Yeah. Lots of lovely words.
We really need to get out the A-level textbooks. Yeah. I've got mine in my room.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That's
we
handy.
we can revise. But I mean, we also do a module called public engagement, which if you do an optional module, it swaps out. So I'm not going to be doing public engagement because I'm doing my education module. But I don't really understand what the public engagement module actually is. I think it's just like teaching or like explaining psychology to someone who doesn't do psychology.
Yeah, well, from what I've seen, it's basically writing about psychology but not in an academic way, because obviously our essays and lab reports, they're very structured and very like samey in the writing style. So I think it's getting us to learn how to write in layman's terms, basically.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, I don't even know what kind of other modules that I'm going to take. I think because I want to go into education, I'm more likely to do sort of educational disorders or... I don't know. I think I'm probably just going to see what the assessments are for a lot of the modules.
Oh yeah, I'm going to pick as little exams as possible.
Yeah, I'm going to pick as much coursework as I possibly can.
Because of the pandemic, we haven't had any in-person exams. We had one.
That was a open book class test.
Yeah.
Which was multiple choice.
Which probably doesn't count.
I don't know, I think it was like 15% of our grade.
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to have one in autumn, one in spring, and the spring one just never happened.
Yeah. And the amount of stress I felt for that exam, even though it
made me feel
book.
sick.
So I cannot imagine doing a third year exam.
Which is worth 70%.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no. So I think, well, I mean, I've basically had like little chats with my tutor, and basically I'm hoping we get some kind of support for next year, even if it's, you know, just making all exams open book. That would be really handy. I think what annoys me about exams is it's not about knowing stuff, it's being able to remember stuff, which, you know, in the real world it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, you know, obviously I think being able to understand things are a lot better, because you can regurgitate something from a textbook, but it doesn't mean you know it.
Yeah.
Like, anyone could memorize the DSM-5 from front to back and then give someone a diagnosis.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense.
No, I think it is very good that we have a lot of coursework on our course. Even if it's not worth a lot, it's like basically just continuous assessment throughout the whole year, so we sort of know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I think for third year exams, I'm honestly expecting bare minimum from the uni. I don't. It's probably not a good idea to go into it thinking that they're gonna like let us off, which they won't.
I think we'll be allowed to retake the exams, and that'll be about it.
Yeah,
that's all they're doing this year.
Do we get like a safety net or anything?
No.
Like that?
We didn't get a safety net. Well, there was a safety net last year, but it didn't. Like, it applied to modules we'd already finished, or it applied to modules or like assessments that didn't count. Yeah. Or like only like a small. They said it applied to, I think it was like 80% of the courses or whatever, and it just didn't.
Yeah, it must have
I didn't
just been
speak to anyone.
Courses.
I didn't speak to anyone who said that the safety net actually helped them out, aside from the assessments we'd already done. Yeah. Like, I think for us, the research methods one, the module for first year was fine, because we'd basically completed it all. And I think it was the same with the skills and psychology module. I forgot we did that module.
What was that?
The skills one was like learning how to write and how to reference.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That was an awful one. Like, we did a presentation, I think, for one of the things.
It was kind of useful.
It was fine.
It was like, yeah.
Learning to reference, I'm glad we had a thing on that, because you did an EPQ, so you had experience in referencing in
Harvard.
Well, you did, I was going to say you did Harvard, whereas we do APA 6th edition here.
Yes.
Yeah, we do 6th. And then, you know, having to learn how to reference differently between journal articles and books and papers, and it's very overwhelming at the start. I would really recommend getting a referencing software, and a lot of the lecturers and everything recommend it as well. So, like, I use Mendeley, and I think, do you use Mendeley now? I write them by hand. Why do you write them by hand? It takes forever. Because that's my break from writing the essay. Oh, okay, fine. No, so I use Mendeley, which basically I go on to, if I'm on the website or the actual paper that I need, it's just like a Google Chrome extension. You just click it and it cites it for you with the PDF. Yeah, I did do that in my EPQ, but now I'm like, I know how to do this, so I'm going to do it. Whereas I could do it if I had to. Like, for example, there's a couple of references in my essay that I'm doing at the moment which I couldn't find the actual paper or the actual document online, so I had to physically like hand write the reference. Yeah. Which I did have to go on the APA website just to double check I was doing it in the right order, because, you know, for APA referencing you have to have the authors in a certain order and the date in a certain place, and something's in italics and something's isn't. Yeah, and it changes depending on what you're referencing as well. So I still have to look up how to do it for like books, book chapters, things like that. But journal articles I know, because obviously most of our research is done online now. Yeah, most of psychology, most of the stuff that we look at are just journal articles. Yeah. I mean, is there anything that you would say that you wish you did before coming to uni to like kind of prepare for it more, or do you think that you were kind of well prepared? I was vibing. Just vibing? Just vibing, ready for uni? I think I should have done because as I said earlier, my school did a lot of prep work for uni and like extra stuff. I can't remember what they called it. Just extra stuff on top of our course, on top of our courses that we did for A-levels, and one of them was maths. They did like basically a mini maths course where we could learn like the basics of maths A-level. I do wish I'd done that. Just basically anything to do with maths. I wish I did. Yeah, I mean, we're quite lucky because for psychology we get those emails every week saying, you know, for like maths workshops. Yeah,
our uni, I would say, is very active in helping us. I think a lot of universities aren't that good.
Yeah, I've spoken to some of my friends who go to different unis, and the difference in the support that we get compared to what they get is actually disgusting.
Yeah, we get...
You know, we're all paying £9,000 a year, and some people aren't even getting like an email per week about, you know, we get weekly emails from the careers events about what workshops are on, and the fact, you know, if you want to practice a job interview with them, you can do. We get psychology newsletters, I think once a month, or it's like every week or once a month, I can't remember.
Oh, it's every week, trust me.
Oh, okay. But like, you know, it's little things like that. And I mean, we have to do the sonar stuff for the research. Like, we have to do, which I really like that system, where basically you have to, so over first and second year, you take part in other people's research to gain credits. And you have to get 18 credits by the end of, or you aim to get 18 by the end of second year. And the reason you get credits is because in third year, when you do your own research, you can use those credits to give out to other people as like an incentive for them to do your research. So the more credits you have, the more credits you can give to other people, which normally means you'll have more people.
It's the more like freedom you have with doing the research as well. So if you get the minimum amount of credits, that means that you can choose when participants do your study. Whereas if you don't get enough, then the participant will just pick a random time and then you have to do it then. Yeah. So you can say like time slots in the day where you want participants to do stuff with you.
Do you remember any of the research that you took part in? So I know obviously this year it's been a lot of online studies.
Yeah, I remember one of them, a fire alarm went off in the middle of that. That was interesting.
Did you think it was part of the research?
I was terrified. I was so scared because I was sitting in this tiny like box room, you know, like the little research rooms, with a really old fat computer just flashing like faces at me, and I had to decide whether they looked feminine or masculine. And then in the room is soundproofed as well, so all I saw, like when the fire alarm went off, it was just a red flashing light, and I was like,
you've done it wrong, the purge has started.
Yeah. I was like, is this supposed to happen? And it kept going for like a few minutes, and a few seconds, and maybe like 10 seconds.
They just left you in a burning building, like, you will complete this research.
Yeah, well, I like opened the door, I was like, what's going on? And she was like, oh, I think it's the fire alarm. And I was like, should we, you know, leave? And she was like, yeah, maybe. So
I love how laid back a lot of the research was. They were just like, can you just do this questionnaire for me, please?
Yeah, so I had to start that one again. But what other ones? I think a lot of them were just questionnaires, which I don't understand, because
they were like boring tasks where you're just pressing like left or right.
Yeah, one of them was I had to take supplements or a placebo for I think a month, and then report back on my depression levels, which was interesting. It was
it like vitamin B or something?
It was flavonoids.
Ah, that's it.
Which I still don't really know what they are.
I did that for my skills. I looked at flavonoids in chocolate. Yeah. Because you did magic for all of your skills stuff.
I remember that.
Whereas I did all of mine about chocolate, which was really annoying because I was trying to be healthy, and like I would be doing my essay at like 11 p.m. at night, and I'd be like, really fancy like a bar of Cadbury's. Mine
was so interesting, and I had my auntie gave me all of these magazines. I think that it's just called like The Psychologist or something like that. It was a psychology magazine.
Sounds about right.
And actually that's a good thing that you could do if you're thinking about doing the course, is get one of those magazines, because they go over published research that's like recently been published, basically.
A lot of them are online as well, so you don't have to like subscribe to them.
Yeah, you don't really have to pay for them, but they were a good read, because I was like, I'm learning and having fun.
And you can, like, you know, you take the magazine wherever you're going. You know, if you're going to have I don't know, if you're waiting in an office and you're like in a waiting room in a dentist or a doctor's, there's only the magazines on the table. You don't need Hello or what was that, GQ. Yeah. You've got The Psychologist. You can look very intellectual.
Look really smart in like a little cafe with an espresso.
You are the main character.
I am the main character, and then like Harry Styles walks in. He's like, hey, you're reading magazine, and I'm like, here I am. And then we fall in love.
I mean, it sounds like a flawless plot to me.
Yeah.
You should write that book. Can I have some of the royalties?
Yeah.
Thanks. That's really
New
kind.
fan fiction coming soon.
God, read it on Wattpad. I mean, yeah, for my skills, when I did a lot of the chocolate stuff, it was interesting, but a lot of it was just new concepts that I just didn't know.
Yeah.
And to be thrown in the deep end in first year, having to talk about flavonoids and all that sort of stuff, I was like, I have no idea what's going on. So I think I think Google Scholar was my best friend, and it still is. A lot of researchers, lecturers, really recommend Google Scholar, because all you do is you just type in, it is literally Google, but for journal articles, effectively.
Google itself is the worst.
Yeah.
Because if I look up, like, behaviourism on Google, what comes up is, like, these, like, pseudoscience websites that's trying to... I don't know.
It's not actual research. It's just someone seen something in the office once.
Oh my god, I remember I was reading this article and I was like, oh, this is really handy. And they're like, oh, this research said this, some research said this. And I was like, oh, this is great. Went to the bottom of the article, no references. Where did you get this information from?
Yeah.
So Google Scholar is your friend.
Google Scholar's good. We also use PubMed. No, we don't use PubMed. What do we use?
Our uni library has a summon service.
Oh yeah, we have Summon. No, yeah, I think we had like maybe 3 workshops at the beginning of first year. Basically, just here's where you find all of your information.
I remember I went to that and no member of staff showed up.
Oh yeah, I think you were the session before mine.
Yeah, and we had to sign our attendance, but there was no one there.
Yeah.
So we just like wrote our names on a piece of paper and just left it on the desk.
That's initiative.
It wasn't me. It was someone else.
No, fair enough. To be honest, I think universities are much more laid, but you know, in college I went to college rather than a sixth form, and I remember that a lot of people were like, uni, you know, that's when you're an adult and that's when, you know, you take control of your life.
That's so not true.
School was more stressful than university, in my opinion, because it was very much regimental, like you had to be there.
Yeah.
Whereas I think uni is very laid back, like you
also
you control it yourself.
There are no grown-ups here. No offence everyone at uni, but they're all idiots. Including me.
No one knows what they're doing.
I'm an idiot, everyone's an idiot, we're all a bit confused and we have no common sense.
But yet somehow we're getting degrees.
We can just read books.
Yeah.
We can read well.
We can read
that's
books and regurgitate the information. Yeah. And that's you know, worth a qualification.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all a bit crazy at the moment.
Oh, I had a thought.
Oh no. That's never good.
No, you were just talking about your skills essay and you were like, oh, there's so much stuff in this. There is so much stuff in psychology.
Yeah.
There's so much. Yeah. There is so much stuff. It's everywhere. Where does it end? It doesn't.
I think psychology is, you know, for example, you could do biology and there's an end to biology somewhere. Yeah. Whereas psychology
you're just maintained in the human body in biology.
Yeah.
But in psychology it's like...
It's your brains. You're doing the human, what's inside of you, what's on the outside of you, how that affects other people, but also how you're affected. You know, we basically do biology, we also do chemistry, we also do sociology. Ugh. You know, we also in a way kind of do geography, because it's like, you know, how people move around and all that sort of stuff.
Sprinkle in a bit of philosophy, economics, business,
maths.
Oh my god.
English, got to write some essays sometimes. Basically, everything. Psychology is everything bundled into one.
And there are so many different fields as well within psychology. It's so hard to like pick what you're interested in.
But I suppose that's where it's good, because you could do a psychology qualification and you can go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
So like, for example, you could go into HR or you could go into teaching.
Why is HR it?
Because like, it's dealing with people.
Everyone's like, oh, you're doing psychology, so you're going to do HR. No, I don't care about people.
You could like you could do a lot of stuff with like psychology. You could be, you know, you could be a therapist, you could be a psychiatrist, you could be a school counsellor, you could be a teacher, you could be a researcher electrocuting people, you know, but only in an ethical way.
So when I was at an open day at Worcester Uni, in the talk they were speaking about the careers that you could go into with psychology, and he said that one of his students became like air traffic person, whatever that is. How it's related to psychology, I don't know, but it is apparently.
Maybe it's the statistics side of it. You're like, right.
Yeah, and then another guy was working at Lush during his degree, and then the company
Sales,
Lush,
maybe.
the company Lush. No, he was just doing it as like a part-time job.
Oh, okay.
And then Lush came to him, and they were like, "We want you to do research on what emotions are evoked from different scents." So he just started doing research for Lush.
That's actually a really cool
Yeah.
topic. I kind of want to find that paper now.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'll hear about things, or for example, do you find that we'll be talking with people who don't do psychology, and then they'll mention something, or like they'll say that they did something in a particular way, and then your brain automatically goes to the explanation for it?
Oh my god, yeah, I'm psychoanalyzing everyone at all times.
It's not even psychoanalyzing them or saying, you know, oh, you're depressed, you're anxious, you have OCD, you've got PTSD, or anything like that.
No, it's not diagnosing, it's me being like, I know why you did that. I know why you just said that.
Yeah, a lot of it...
I feel so clever.
Yeah, I mean, we had a brief discussion about this the other day, but do you find it's annoying when people say that the only they talk about psychology, but they only know things about, like, Freud?
Freud was a nonce.
Yeah, yes.
And took a lot of opioids and had severed heads in his office.
All around good guy.
And that's all I've got to say about him. I don't like him.
Yeah, it really bothers me how people who don't have any background in psychology will pretend like they know more or the same level as us. Not in a self-righteous way, but just like, don't tell me that I'm wrong even though I've done 2 modules on this topic.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think that's the same with everything though.
Yeah. Just stop pretending you know stuff. None of us know anything.
Yeah.
No, I think, you know, if I talk to someone who doesn't know psychology, so for example, if I'm talking to my family about psychology, the first thing they'll do is say like, oh, you do a case study on us, we're an absolute box of frogs, and it's like, okay, but I don't do case studies.
But it's also like, you're actually quite boring, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, there are people who I would much rather put in an MRI machine.
Yeah.
Also, I found that one of the most annoying things that I think we're going to do a whole podcast about like online dating and all that sort of stuff, but is the pickup line of like, oh, you do psychology, oh, so you can read my mind. It's like, do you understand what psychology is? I think you're talking about telepathy.
Yeah.
And that is not what I do.
I think it comes from two angles. Either they're like, oh, it's psychology, not really a science. Blah blah blah.
There's no respect for us in this field.
No. Or like my dad, absolutely fascinated. He's asked me to send him every one of my essays because he's like, I love it. It's so interesting.
He's gonna have a blast with our dissertation
because he like thinks about himself constantly. He's like, oh, why did I just say that? Oh, why was I like this when I was younger? It's like, oh, past trauma, exciting.
Oh, that's so adorable.
Yeah.
I love that.
So he's really fun to talk to about it because I'll just say anything and he's like, wow. He's like, he's so amazed by it.
Whereas we're just like, I just did this essay, can read
it.
Just regurgitated something, we're like, just throw behaviourism in there.
Yeah, it's like when I did
talk about individual differences.
When I did that essay on magic, he was like, that is so interesting.
That was a really interesting topic though. Like, I think I read through your essay and I was like, this is actually pretty cool.
It was very cool. It was about deception, but not deception.
Was it like kind of sleight of hand and
averting your
gaze?
Oh,
well, it's kind of like, so for my lab for this term that I've just finished, it was all about kind of change blindness. So, you know, when you're watching a film and you notice that something wasn't in the same place, or, you know, there was a cup on that table in one shot and then the next shot, which is the same time, that's not there anymore.
That's what it was about.
Oh, so we basically
did that monkey video?
Yeah.
That, I watched that for my essay.
Yeah, see, I had to put that in my literature for my lab. So we basically did the same thing, except mine was weighted more. It was interesting though. It was all about attention and all that.
That's one. Oh, words. Am I right? That's That's one good thing about the course, I think, because it's everywhere. If you're writing an essay on change, blindness, you know, or attention or anything like that, you can be like, I can use this method in my everyday life and improve myself.
Yeah.
It's very handy.
Yeah, the thing is, there's always the joke that, you know, anyone who does psychology basically just wants to do therapy, but like do it so they can have therapy for themselves, which is kind of true for some people, but a lot of the time, a lot of us kind of just, we're just nosy. We want to know why humans do certain things.
And I think also through doing it, I've actually become a lot more empathetic.
Yeah.
And understanding, because it is literally explaining people and why they think things and why they do things. Well, most of it is.
Yeah, so if someone does something that you're like, you're not a nice person because you've done this, you normally don't like automatically be like, well, you're just a horrible person. You normally kind of go back and be like, well, they might have had this happen to them, or they might have experienced this, or maybe they just, you know, you kind of go into the different possibilities about why. And I think that's the biggest thing that psychology's taught me, is just to not always look at things on the face value. It's kind of to automatically try and delve deeper into the topic.
Yes. So basically we're great people. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. Would you recommend psychology as a degree in itself, or do you think it would be better to do it as like optional modules with another course?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think if you're really interested in it, then 100% do it, because it is so interesting.
I don't regret it at all.
It's fun. It's a great time.
Just chilling.
I think if you're really not a fan of science and you're doing psychology because you don't think it's a science, don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what sociology is like as a degree.
Well, I did it at A level. That's the highest I can talk about it.
Yeah, because I don't know if it's the same as psychology in that they do a lot of research as well. I'm assuming they do, but...
I mean, so for sociology, when I did it at A level, we didn't do anything which was kind of statistics. I mean, we kind of did a bit of maths in psychology at A level when we did like the sign test and the different statistical tests that we could do. But for sociology, for me, like, we referenced studies that were done. Like, you know, it was the same sort of thing. And I'm assuming that you would be doing a kind of your own research for that.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was more... I don't know. It was kind of explaining the same sort of things. But I'm assuming you must do... If you're investigating differences in social groups and stuff, you would have to do some kind of research.
Yeah, I think they'd
So it'd probably be the same, but just less neuroscience.
Yeah, a lot less weighted on, like, biology, but... Yeah, I was just trying to think of like what I'd recommend if you're like not a very science mathsy person.
I think you could probably just do like, if you could pick to do like a social psychology module, I'd really recommend that. Yeah. Because that's so fun.
And it does depend on your interests as well, but that is a great thing about psychology, is because it's so broad that if you're doing business, then you can do... Is that a thing?
Yeah, you could do business. Yeah, psychology, because...
Business psychology.
Yeah, because like, for example, you can use psychology in like marketing, for example, or you can use it in recruitment as well, because you know we do psychometric testing, which, you know, personality tests get used in recruitment all the time.
What was our applied psychology? We did forensic, clinical,
consumer
psychology, sports psychology. So that module was, we had two lectures.
Was so interesting. The forensic one was really cool. That was more like sociology, the forensic module we did.
Yeah, we had like 2 lectures for each little field of psychology, because obviously, again, it's so broad that they couldn't possibly fit it all into our degree. They do their best. But yeah, we were basically just touching on these more specific fields, like sports psychology. I hated that. Oh my god, do you remember the lecturer for that? He was so weird.
Yeah, I remember the first lecture, he was just like, here's the references I've got from previous students, and all of them were like, I hated him, he talked too much. He
talked too much about himself, and then he was like, yeah, this is so funny, and then he just went on and talked about himself for the whole thing, and I was like, do you not take on feedback? Or...
The only thing I remember from the sports psychology lectures was the fact that doing golf improves your memory, like improves your cognitive function as you get older. So basically, anyone over the age of 50 take up golf as a hobby, but also how to improve like team mindsets, like use a positive, like if you're trying to give someone criticism before they go out and do something again, do it in a positive light.
One thing that he did say as well was that sports psychology is a lot on performance. So actually, if you're doing like drama, do sports psychology. It sounds a bit weird.
Yeah.
But everything that applies to sports psychology applies to every type of performance ever.
Oh yeah.
Because it
even
is
like exam performance to an extent.
Yeah, it's everything.
I wouldn't do it again though.
No. But if you're doing any sort of performance-based degree, sports psychology would be very good.
But also, like, if you do something as an optional module, you're normally only doing it for, like, a term, which is 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot, but you're only doing one lecture a week and, like, one assessment.
Yeah, so for my philosophy one, that was for the whole of autumn term. I had 2 essays and 1 presentation.
Which I'm surprised, because, you know, we have modules, I suppose the core modules we did were bigger, so we had, like, an exam as well.
Yeah. But I did it on purpose so that I wouldn't have an exam on it, because I would not want to do an exam on a course that I was not in, because that would scare me.
Yeah. Although, like, I mean, when we were told about the exams in first year, even though we didn't do them properly, I think we realised how a lot more easy the, that didn't make any grammatical sense. You can tell it's the afternoon. How much easier the exams were for university compared to A-level. Because, you know, in A-level we had to know the names of studies and the dates, or, like, you know, you had to know them in a lot of detail. And you had to be able to regurgitate so much information in so much depth because there wasn't a lot of information that you had to learn. Whereas uni, you can learn as much as information as is out there. So when it comes to exams, you know, you only do like an A4 piece of paper.
I was so confused when she said that.
Yeah, and all of our exams have multiple choice questions as well.
Yeah, because I remember in that lecture they were talking about like exam style and how to write essays in exams, and we like called her over and we were like, how much do you actually write in this? And she was like, oh, like 1,000 words. And I was like, what? What?
And obviously you don't do a reference list. And she was like, yeah, if you can't remember the name of the people who did the research, just explain the research.
Yeah, and I was like, this is just A-level, but
easier. Which is why it's funny how we say, you know, we want to do the coursework stuff, but I think it's because, you know, if I was doing an exam...
Oh, exams are so scary.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. Whereas, you know, coursework, you know, you can have a McDonald's whilst you're doing your coursework, or it's a lot more relaxed.
We are very anxious people.
Yeah.
And exams are not fun for us.
Especially, like, academically. You know, anything to do with... You know, I thought... do you remember... I think it was before Christmas, I was doing like my lab report or something, and I thought I lost an entire section that I like worked, like I think I lost my entire introduction.
You immediately broke down.
Oh, I literally, because I got it up to show you what I'd written, just to be like, you know, here's what you should be writing, and I couldn't find it because I think I opened the wrong, so I've got it saved like on my computer but also on my OneDrive.
Yeah.
Because back before like I moved everything on there, it was just a nightmare. So I opened the wrong document and I thought I'd lost it. So I immediately just like took a deep breath and then I just started crying. I like rushed back to my room and like frantically tried to find it, but I held my breath the entire time.
We have very different approaches to stress though, it's quite funny.
I go 0 to 100.
You go a bit nuts. If something like that would happen to me, I would just go like, oh fuck. And then I probably just like hit my head on the table a couple of times.
I get a massive shot of adrenaline.
And then I just play Sims. And I just try not to think about it. And then I go back to it the next day and I'd be like, oh, it's there. And then I'd be fine.
I have to like... So if, for example, something goes wrong, I get a massive shot of adrenaline and I have to fix it or kind of get on with it right then and there.
Yeah, I think that's such a good thing though, because if I'm stressed about something, I suppress the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And that is bad.
Whereas my emotions are like fireworks. Fireworks of... Is cortisol the stress hormone? I think so.
Probably.
I hope so. You'd think in second year we would know the hormones, but... No, we just make jokes out of serotonin and dopamine all the time.
Yeah.
Just be like, I'm gonna go play Animal Crossing for 4 hours until 3 in the morning, just for some serotonin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We make too many jokes about our course, but we do love it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I did it, and I want to do a master's, and if I'm feeling mega mind, I want to do a PhD.
Damn.
Yeah.
You were saying about victimology. What is victimology?
It's working with the victims of crimes. So criminology is thinking about the criminals, victimology is thinking about the victims.
So is that like, for example, if someone was a victim of like a burglary, you would like, is it like therapy for victims, or is it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's the same as most things. Like, it's not just therapy. It's So I actually heard about it when I was listening to the Simply Neological podcast, Simply Podlogical.
Podlogical.
And she had her sister on, Jen, and she does victimology with the government and does government schemes? I can't remember. She just works with the government for victimology and basically puts stuff in place.
Schemes.
Schemes to help victims. And I thought it was nice. It's a nice thing to do, you know? Help people. And then I was like, I don't really care about this that much. It's interesting, but it's like, I don't want to do this for a job.
My only concern with you doing that is, like, for example, if I message you and be like, can I come to your room, I'm a bit sad, you'd be like, yeah, it's fine. And then you basically just listen to me rant and you're just like, do you want to go make cookies?
I do not know how to deal with people who are
You've
upset.
gotten better, though. You've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
First year was a bit ropey. Second year, we're alright.
Me just developing social skills.
And that's what social psychology... No, I'm joking. That's not social psychology at all. No, I feel like doing psychology has made us better people, in a way.
I think so.
I think it makes us consider other people's viewpoints a lot more.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of other courses, you don't get that opportunity to delve... I think maybe the only other ones I can think of would be politics or, you know, the other social sciences, where you have to consider other people's experiences in, like, depth.
Well, I don't think politics.
Well, no, but you'd have to consider the other people's side. Whether you agree with it or not is another matter.
Yeah, because I remember one of our friends does politics and international relations or something like that, and he was writing an essay on Marxism, and he was so angry about it, and he was like, I'm just going to shit on Marxism in this essay, and I was like, okay.
Okay, maybe not politics, but no, I think a lot of courses don't really give you the opportunity to care about other people. Like, you know, it's very much like you focus on your own stuff, or like you don't get to relate to what you're writing. Like, for example, history, you're I mean, I can only talk about from like GCSE or like from before GCSEs, but it was like you would write about the world wars and you would be like, cool, done now. Whereas, you know, you wouldn't really you could obviously be like, I'm going to learn from past mistakes, but you wouldn't really get to apply it. Whereas psychology is in every single thing that we do.
It's all around you.
Yeah.
And it applies to like everything. It applies to you, it applies to your family, it applies to your work, it applies to
your animals.
The government, it applies to your animals, it applies to everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally training your dog to sit is behaviourism.
I'm so excited to get a cat and condition her to press buttons.
Well, like, you know, the talking buttons.
Yeah.
I love those.
That's behaviourism, my friend.
That is behaviourism. Like, I've taught my cats to sit for treats, to come over to me at like a specific whistle. Like, so for example, if someone just whistles normally, they won't do anything. But if I do like the specific whistle pattern that I've taught them, they'll come over. Like, I've taught them to beg for treats.
It's fascinating. I really want a rat as well.
Rats are really smart.
Yeah, it's because their brain structure is the most similar to humans, because they've got the limbic system and...
Which is hormones.
Yeah.
And nerves and stuff. That's my explanation of the neuroscience, is just hormones. You know, I know the frontal lobes, you know, that's where you do all your cognitive functions and stuff.
From my experience, neuroscience is very much just attributing certain functions to certain brain areas, and that's...
Yeah. I really want to get... I remember in A-level, my teacher had one of those, like, plastic brains that you could take apart for the different areas, like, for the different lobes and stuff. I really want to get one. Because I feel like it'd be so easy to, like, get a little Sharpie and just, like, write, like, do a little cross and be like, right, this is where this happens.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know if you've seen how much they are. They are, like, £45.
Yeah, they're very expensive.
Might be worth it,
it's a really interesting field, though, because we don't know everything. That's another thing is, like, obviously, for, say, history, you know what happened.
Yeah.
I think, as far as I know. But in psychology, it's constantly growing, and that is the same as with most sciences.
And it'll always change because, you know, we're always evolving.
Mm-hmm. And, like, you might find... Oh, that is another thing, actually. All of the, like, basis papers that we learn about in A-levels are all from, like, the 50s.
Yeah.
That's 70 years ago.
Oh.
Nobody is like that now.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember which... I think it was in our Perception and Neuroscience module, which you don't do this term, I don't think. Do you?
I do a bit of it.
Yeah, so I think it might have even been first year when we did biopsychology, but we basically looked at how the physical brain has changed. And, like, basically, human brains are just generally bigger and heavier than they used to be.
And that is why it hurts so much to give birth.
What? I was just going to say that's why we have headaches.
Oh. But also it hurts to give birth because the human brain has evolved.
Oh, right.
But our lady parts have not evolved.
No, but then I suppose it's okay because we've got C-sections now.
Yeah.
So that's fine. How did we get here?
I don't know.
I think we should call it a day.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for listening. If you want to check out Aimee, she does have a YouTube channel.
Oh my god.
I will, if you're listening to this on YouTube, I will link it in the description. If you're not, it'll be on our Instagram, @thestudentramble.
You've got an Instagram?
We do have an Instagram. We have polls on there. For our first episode, we were talking about open days. We did an open day bingo.
That's so fun.
It was very fun. So yeah, check us out over there. Thank you, Aimee, for joining me.
You're very welcome.
I dare say you'll probably be back at some point.
Oh, I hope so. I've had a great time.
Grand old time. And yeah, thank you very much for watching.
Bye.
Bye.